Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show!
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
With a focus on football.
Sue, late in his career, is going to have his first Super Bowl title. Now, no wonder they want to call it Tampa Bay. Or Tampa Brady. One more snap, would you have guessed when this impossible season was trying to launch that you'd get it all in, you'd get to Tampa, and when the Super Bowl ended, the ball would be in the hands of Tom Brady. I don't know why we ever think it won't. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a second Super Bowl title in franchise history.
And Tom Brady doesn't pass the torch quite yet to Mahomes, does he? Even though
you're looking at the greatest right there.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffauf. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mays, and not with me here in person, but here with us via the glorious technology. I don't know, cell phones have been around for a while, so this isn't exactly groundbreaking, but yes, Justin is here with me this evening, ready to talk NFL preview with our Super Bowl predictions. We got to get through the playoff and wild card picks, but Justin, how have things been going?
Things are pretty good. Things are pretty good. It's crazy that we've made it to this point where we're giving our kind of like our I guess overall season kind of views of the NFL here. You know, we dissected each division, and here we are, kind of telling you how it's all going to play out. Or as you can probably take it to your favorite app maybe, and learn what not to do as we kind of give you some whatever we say. You probably want to go opposite of that. Although we have been fairly close on a couple teams over the last few years. So
yeah, we're usually better at finding the frauds than the hidden gems. We're generally like that team is being overrated, but we usually are not good at finding the team that surprises everyone. That has not been in our wheelhouse.
Agree.
And hopefully some of that plays in our favor, at least my favor, because I'm generally the one that's the most vocal about. You could also say most pessimistic about some of the teams that are getting the media hype or the fan hype. You know, one of those teams is been most recently the Cleveland Browns, I'd say. You know, at the end of the Harbaugh regime, it was the 49ers for me. And then I've always been anti-Saints, not actually against them, just thought they would be worse than they are. And that hasn't come true. Maybe this year now that Drew Brees is gone. But I feel like the Browns are the team that I mostly have to point to as being recently anti-Cleveland in a sense that I don't buy into what they're doing. I think some of their moves were not great, and that's not just this year, this offseason. That's over the last 3 or 4 years. I'm not a big Baker Mayfield guy, so that doesn't help them at all. If I can't get behind the quarterback, it's tough to get behind the team overall. So I do want to let everyone know that I am playing 2 more games in our NCAA Football 14 Dynasty mode. Justin and I are in year 2, co-coaching the Florida Atlantic Owls, and I'll be playing games 11 and 12 tonight. First up here is the 11th game against a ranked North Texas team. So
no pressure.
Yeah, I have my work cut out for me. They're ranked 22nd, so we'll have to see how this goes. I need to pull up the proper screen or I'm going to be screwing things up all night. Let me pull that up so I can see what I'm doing as Justin and I talk about the NFL playoffs. So we went through all 8 divisions so far, and Justin and I We're pretty similar, like we tend to be, where we usually think the same about most teams. Maybe one per division. Do we flip flop? Rarely do we have one of us have someone in first and that other person has them in fourth. I don't know that that has ever really happened. But we've went through the west, south, north, and east. Excuse me. That's the way that. Oh, good. I started with a delay of game as I can't get my stuff together here. Always good. Always good. So, um, let's take a look at the NFC. Justin, why don't you go over what you have happening in the NFC?
Okay, so in the NFC, I believe, well, in kind of double checking today, but looking back, I picked Dallas to win the NFC East, and that is, obviously like a stake through my heart. But when I look at it from like a talent standpoint and Dak coming back, like anything short of them winning the division is, well, I mean, if they didn't win the division but made the playoffs and were successful, obviously they'd take that. But they should absolutely, they're the most talented team in the division. They should win the division. If they don't, that's a step in the wrong direction, in my opinion. So I believe we both had Dallas winning the division. And we're kind of on similar standpoint. Like, there's a lot of talent there. While there's still questions on defense, they have more than enough on offense to make up for it. And they got some pieces like Michael Parsons on defense. So I have them actually as the number one overall team in the NFC. Like, I think in part because I think they're going to beat up on a division that just isn't as good. I think the Giants will be okay, like maybe, which is interesting because they're going to I don't know that they're going to have an answer about their quarterback this year. The Eagles it's an interesting move. Like, I liked the low risk, high reward signing they made today, to help out the secondary. So it'll be interesting. Like, if everything goes right for the Eagles, they could be decent, but they shouldn't knock off Dallas for the division, no matter what. And the Washington football team, I think, will be solid, and I think they're going to be pushing for a playoff spot, but I don't have them as winning the division. So we have Dallas there.
You are still pretty high on the football team, though, from Washington.
Oh, I am. Yes. And I actually am going to have them in my, as the fifth seed. I think they're going to be a top wildcard team. I think Fitzpatrick is a good fit there. I think their defense is going to be strong. And again, like, I'm just not sure what to think of the Giants or Eagles right now. So I think they're going to be good enough. And while I have them in that first wild card spot, I think they're certainly good enough to get a wild card spot. And but I just think Dallas has too much going for them, and I think Dallas is going to be have that top spot, which is interesting because I don't know like who I would pick in the game straight up, but they're going to play Tampa to open up the season, and I have Tampa as the number 2 seed. Again, I think the South is kind of working its way out right now. You got to figure out what's Carolina going to be with Sam Darnold. What is New Orleans going to be with Jameis Winston? And then also like Atlanta, like what's going on there? You've had, kind of a regime change, and you had Dan Quinn had been there for a while. So what have you got there? I think Tampa's going to get it done. I don't think Tampa's going to be the 1 seed, but I don't think it matters to them. I think they're going to win a bunch of games, but I don't think they're going undefeated or anything like that. But they proved last year that doesn't matter. And then I have the Rams as the 3 seed. I think they're going to win the West. And I think they're a really good team. Like, I think Matthew Stafford is going to be something that's going to take them to levels they haven't quite gotten to yet. In terms of even when they made the Super Bowl, I didn't think their offense was really any good. And I feel like the Patriots exposed that in the Super Bowl. And then a spot where I know we are different. I think the Bears are going to take. Now, this is obviously, there are lots of qualifiers here. I think the sooner Justin Fields plays, the more I like this. I also think the longer Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, the more I like my Bears pick. So there's a lot in the air in that. And this is, look, Rodgers can do what he wants. You know, he's a grown, very rich man. But if he doesn't play, they have a good base there, but they're in trouble. We've seen what that team looks like without him a number of times, and it's not very good. And then, so those are my 4 teams in the division winners. I have them ranked: Dallas 1 seed, Tampa the 2 seed, Rams the 3 seed, and Bears the 4 seed. I kind of alluded to it before. I have Washington as the top wild card. I don't know that that's how it's going to play out. It'll be tough, but I think they're going to safely be in that wild card spot. I hedged my bet here a little bit and went with the Packers in that spot. I know I just talked about how the Packers are in trouble if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, but I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. And also, I think there is some talent there, even if Rodgers isn't. It'll be interesting to see. A team I'm not real high on is Minnesota. I don't know. I just feel like that's starting to I feel like their window has closed, and that might be the message you listeners need to hear, to go out and go all in on Minnesota this year. But I just feel like Minnesota had their chance and they blew it to a backup quarterback in Philadelphia. That's kind of my opinion on that. And then I'm also going to go with Seattle. And I really struggled over this last spot. I just think I kind of went with quarterback then. And I wanted to kind of take Arizona and maybe put them in this spot. But I went with Seattle because while Kyler Murray made some flashy plays last year, it was tough for me to buy in all in on that for them to make enough of a jump to make the playoffs this year. So, again, to recap my 7, I have Dallas, Tampa, LA Rams, the Bears, Washington, and then Packers and Seattle finishing out my wild card teams.
Very good. Yes. I have a graphic up on the screen with your picks. So we're going to move on here to mine. I don't really have much of a rebuttal for you. I can't really knock any of those that you picked. I'm higher on the Vikings than you are. I have Minnesota winning that division. That's mostly dependent on Aaron Rodgers not playing. And I said that the last time I did this sort of solo stream and played a couple games of college football here, I had to do the NFC North, and I started out just lambasting Aaron Rodgers and talking about how poor I thought the Packers could possibly be without him. I only dropped them down to second in the division because there's still talent there, but I don't think there's anyone out there that can say with a straight face that Green Bay is the best team, one of the best teams in the NFC, and maybe not even the best team in the NFC North without Aaron Rodgers. It just seems kind of crazy for anyone to think that. Now, unless Jordan Love is the second coming of a young Aaron Rodgers, who was the second coming of a young Brett Favre, unless they luck out for the third time, then things may be different. But at least on paper right now, I can't say that. And I did hedge my bets like you, though. I still had Green Bay making the playoffs, but I have them as my 7th seed in the NFC.
That would have been a better spot for me to hedge my bet, actually. But I don't know. I got ahead of myself, I guess.
Now, I did, I'm still high on Dallas and think they're the best team in the NFC East. I did not think that they would be able to win enough games to take the number 1 seed. I still have that going to Tampa Bay, which we know they were not the number 1 seed in the NFC last year, and they ended up going all the way, winning games on the road, coming out on top. I just think this year they were still clicking from the end of last year. They brought everyone back. They want to run it back. I still think they're the best team in the NFC. I'm not even sure it's super close after what they were able to do at the end of last season. What did they win the last 7? If you're including the playoffs, I think they won 7 or 8 in a row. So
right.
They had it all together and it's all back. So it kind of seems silly for me to not give them the benefit of the doubt at the moment.
I would agree with you too that I think Tampa is a better team. I think Dallas will have a better record at the end of the regular season.
And you mentioned why, sense? So it absolutely makes sense. That's why we can't always go on record alone. And how often does the team with the best regular season record win the championship in any sport? Is it even half the time? Is it even half the time?
I know in the NFL they make it a lot of times, but it's not usually the team that to win it all. It's usually a team near the top, but not the top. It's the team that's healthy and hot at the end.
Right. And that was Tampa Bay last year. So
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I do have Tampa Bay at number 1. I have the Rams second. I am still high on them, even with the Cam Akers injury. I think they'll figure that out. Everything you said about Matt Stafford and what he brings to that team is something that they were missing. Even, just a few years removed from a Super Bowl appearance against New England a few years ago, I still think they have a lot of talent there, and we'll see if they're able to put it all together. Oh, come on. Sorry, I went on 3rd and 9. I went to set up a screen pass, and the running back got held up in the offensive lineman. So
I love that.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm going up 10-0 though with 1:48 left in the second. So yeah, Tampa Bay's 1, Los Angeles 2. I have Dallas in 3. I do think they're probably going to be the 3rd best team in terms of divisional record and earn that 3rd seed. And Minnesota, my NFC North champ, is in spot 4. Now, you and I had a few differences in wild cards, but it predominantly was in the AFC. In the NFC, my 5th seed is Seattle, who I have the 2nd best team in the NFC West behind the Rams. Then number 6 is Arizona, because we picked the Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals to all be very good in the NFC West, and I have that division getting 3 teams into the NFC playoffs this fall. And then my last seed, as I already mentioned, is the Green Bay Packers, just because I have to hedge my bets, because if Aaron Rodgers plays, Green Bay is probably destined for another divisional champion, let alone the last wild card spot. But that's how I see the NFC shaking out. We're very similar with our picks, just really Minnesota, Chicago is a big flip between you and I.
Yes, yeah.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and do your AFC playoff picture?
Okay, so my AFC picture here, I have the Chiefs as the number 1 seed. I think they retooled and addressed their weaknesses from last year. There may still be some question marks there, as they're going to be on those high-level teams whenever you have a little bit of turnover in different places, like an entire new offensive line. But I think it's going to be really interesting for them. But I think a step where they address some of their needs. I have Buffalo at number 2. I think that Buffalo, I don't think they're necessarily going to play the whole season as hot as they did the last third or half of last year, but I think they're going to still be really good, and I think they're really finding a formula that works well for them. Indianapolis I have as the 3rd. I think Frank Reich and Carson Wentz. It's a little bit of, am I a fan of Wentz? Yeah. So, but I think that is a great move for Indy. And I think they've got the tool and the offense and the defense to really be a team that kind of thrives. And so I have them as that 3 seed. I have Baltimore as the 4, the last of the division winners. Really strong. I think Lamar Jackson, as his game continues to develop, I feel like he was honestly, the numbers may not all line out, but I felt like he was better last year than he was the year before. Maybe not as dynamic, just running all over the place, but to help his team, overall, I feel like he was really good last year. I think if he continues to progress, they're going to be pretty good. I know they've also tried to add some weapons for him. I have Tennessee as my top wild card. The thing there is, and I've said this to you, Tennessee's good, and I know they added Julio Jones and stuff like that, but my fear is if we've seen this before, where a team runs a running back into the ground year after year, and then there is a steep drop off and it comes at you quick. And at some point that's going to happen with Derrick Henry. And I know he's only a few years into it, but we've seen this in the NFL happen multiple times. And I think it could happen again to them. I don't think it's quite there yet, but I think Indy is going to take strides to be the 1 seed in that division, or win that division. I have Cleveland making the playoffs, but I don't have them as the best team in the AFC, like some articles have had them listed. The biggest question mark for me there is quarterback, and maybe secondary, but they have some pieces in secondary, but they need more consistency there. And then on a bit of a flyer. I almost said a bit of a wild card, but I didn't mean that as a pun. But I have the Patriots making it in that
Boo.
7th spot. I know. And that's not just like a dig at you. It's really, I think that they have a lot to prove from last year. And I know Tom Brady was part of that chip on the shoulder mentality and everything in New England. But, man, we saw – now, some people could say, yeah, but last year they had a chip on their shoulder. But, like, last year was so against all the things that NFL teams, especially the Patriots, would typically do. That I think it's just like having a year. I think Cam Newton's going to be better. I don't think he's going to be MVP Cam Newton, but I think serviceable Cam Newton is going to be good enough for them to get to maybe 10-ish, 11 wins-ish, maybe, and sneak into the playoffs. So it could be interesting. So recap of my teams. I have Kansas City, Buffalo, Indy, Baltimore, Tennessee, Cleveland, and New England.
All right, so those are Justin's, both his playoff teams, NFC and AFC. Kansas City, the number 1 seed. I think that a lot of people are thinking that exact thing. I can't believe many people are against the Chiefs. I feel like they're destined to be right in the thick of things again. I don't know what would tell you otherwise. So they're my number 1 seed as well. I have the Chiefs as the 1 seed. I do have the personally hated Buffalo Bills second. And ditto, personally hated Baltimore Ravens in third. I don't like either of those teams, but I can't deny that they're both talented, and I think they're both, again, destined for the playoffs just like last year. In fourth, I have the AFC North champion Indianapolis Colts. Now, my wild cards are where things get interesting in terms of comparing my picks with Justin's. I have 3 different teams than what Justin had. In fifth, I have Los Angeles. Yes, the Chargers, second year of Justin Herbert. I think they're destined for a little bit of a bump, so I have them playing in the wild card round, but as the best wild card team. And I should say, and this applies to both Justin and I, for our picks, I did not go through and document where we had them in terms of number of wins, so maybe these wild card ones don't exactly make sense, or even maybe the seeding of the division champions don't make sense. This is just where we felt we were at right now. You know, we started this back in mid-May. It's over 2 months later, so things change. Roll with the punches. We kept our division champions the same, but where they slot in terms of playoffs and wild cards, things may vary from what we said earlier, so... that's the little sub note there on these picks. I do have my Dolphins in 6th, so the 6th seed overall. That's really more hopeful, maybe wishful thinking after trying so hard last year and not being able to finish it out. I hate this game, Justin. The computer always goes super ridiculous mode in the last minute of the half. They had a grand total of 5 yards against me all game, and then they get the ball with a minute and a half to play, and they just drive down the field and score.
Yep, I feel your pain.
It's annoying. It's 17-7 because our star cornerback I had a pick 6. So,
nice.
But my last team, and maybe surprisingly so, is the Steelers, because I had them second in the AFC North, and I'm going to stick with them there just because Cleveland's just a team that I don't trust. They were everyone's favorite at the end of last year, but I'm saying no.
And I could see that. If again, the Steelers are one of those teams where if things click this year, they could who's going against the Steelers if things click? And this is something I forgot. They were 11-0 last year. Now everyone knew it was a fraud. They weren't.
No, everyone was they're not that good.
But listen, they weren't as good as that 11-0, but they weren't as bad as they were the last part of the season either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Did they finish 12-4 overall then?
I think so. Yeah.
But they looked awful in the playoff game. Oh man,
and the game leading into the playoffs, they lost back-to-back games to the Browns.
Yeah.
So,
my uncle is chiming in. He says Justin uses his head to make a pick, the Patriots. Joe uses his heart, the Dolphins, and a wife pick, Steelers.
I feel sick that I feel like as especially this year, I feel like Rich and I have started to agree on more and more of these.
Well, he said
picks
you are
and things like
a
that.
closet New England fan at the moment, so.
And I know that hurts. That makes me question everything about myself.
Yeah, I know
But
you're kind of going through some awkward renaissance apparently right now. So I'm gonna need you to stop doing that. So, all right. So before we move on and talk about yes, go, run faster, get in there. Oh, he got knocked out at the 3. I had another pick. I almost had another pick 6. Before we dive into our Super Bowl predictions, I do have a text from my dad. Let me see if I can decipher it. He was kind of all over the place with some of his picks. So he said AFC, I don't think this is in order, but he picked Buffalo, Indianapolis, Baltimore, and Kansas City are his division champs. And then his wild cards are Tennessee, Cleveland, and Miami. Tennessee notably absent from mine. As I said, I went with different ones compared to what you and apparently my dad selected. Tennessee did not make it on mine and kind of what you talked about. I'm kind of afraid of what's going to happen with Derrick Henry this year. And we've been hearing his name so often over the last 2 or 3 years. He could get hurt or just start to wear down. And I'm not saying it's going to happen this year, but I just don't know that he's going to be, or the team is going to be as strong as they have been the last couple of seasons ever since they really went to Tannehill. And how long will that last too? We've talked about that. In the NFC, my dad, again, I don't think this is in order, but his division champs were Dallas, Chicago, Tampa Bay, and the Rams. And his wild card teams were Minnesota, Seattle, and New Orleans. So he still has the Saints making it, but a couple different teams there, so we don't exactly overlap completely. A lot of the big guns are still there. None of us were super bold to say any of last year's big teams are not going to even make the playoffs. So, because
which we know will most likely happen.
Yeah, there's usually a 50% turnover. So
right.
If you look at the ones that we've picked, Justin, so Dallas is new for you, or from you, Dallas is a team that didn't make it last year. Tampa made it. The Rams made it. Chicago didn't make it last year, so that would be a new one. Washington did make it. Green Bay made it, and Seattle made it. So you have 2 new ones in the NFC. In the AFC, KC made it. Buffalo made it. Indianapolis didn't make it last year, right? No, they weren't. No, they weren't in. I don't think they were in.
I don't know if they were.
Were they in? Were they one of the last? Now I can't even remember. But Baltimore was in, Tennessee was in, Cleveland was in, New England was not. So depending on, I just am blanking on Indianapolis now. I didn't think they were, but maybe they were. Maybe they were one of those bottom teams. So, but that's just a difference of about 2 of 7 in each division, and history says it's probably going to be more like 3 or 4. Let's see, Dallas would be new, Minnesota would be new, and Arizona would be new in the NFC. In the AFC, Los Angeles and Miami for sure. Maybe Indianapolis. I can't remember off the top of my head now. I'm trying to think of those early round games featuring the wild card teams. All right, so my dad's pick for the Super Bowl, he didn't put it in yet, so I'll have to let you know what he says about Super Bowl when he gets back to me. So why don't we jump to our Super Bowl picks, and I'll pull those up and let everyone take a look. So, Justin, go ahead and talk about your NFC and AFC championship games and your Super Bowl predictions.
Okay. I'm going to give you these, and then I'm probably going to have to hop off here.
Sure.
But so in the AFC, I'm going to take the Chiefs over Indianapolis. And listen, I would be happy if either of those teams won and ended up winning it all. And obviously with the asterisk there of like, I don't anticipate the Eagles being Super Bowl contenders this year. If the Eagles were there, obviously I'd root for them. But I'd be really happy if the Chiefs got there and were able to do it again. And I'd be thrilled for Carson Wentz in Indianapolis if they were able to do it as well. I think the Chiefs have more like firepower and I think I'm not going against them right now. So I have the Chiefs over Indianapolis. And then I have the Rams. I have the Rams over Tampa. I think the Rams are a bad matchup for Tampa. I think having the quarterback is going to give the Rams some offensive firepower that they didn't really have before. They had moments, but I think they're going to get more consistent play out of the quarterback. And I think their defense is going to be able to give Tom Brady enough trouble to, like, he won't be able to just put up 40, 50 points. Does that make sense? So I think the Rams over Tampa. So I have the Chiefs versus the Rams in the Super Bowl, and I'm taking the Chiefs over the Rams. So I'm high on the Rams in that I think Matthew Stafford's going to really help that team, but I think the Chiefs are I think they have something to prove from last year. And I'm excited to kind of see it because, to be honest, when the Chiefs are on, they're really fun to watch. So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with the Chiefs getting it. So,
all right. So you go your third seed LA Rams defeating the second seeded Buccaneers in the NFC Championship. Your number one seeded Chiefs defeating the third seeded Colts in the AFC, and then the Super Bowl you have the Chiefs back on top defeating the Rams in Super Bowl 56.
correct.
All right. My dad has said he's going out on a limb and saying it's going to be Los Angeles Rams versus Buffalo, with the Rams winning it all.
Wow.
So that's his pick. LA Rams over Buffalo in Super Bowl 56.
Just real quick, I'd like to point out that while it was difficult for me to give Dallas the one seed, the way I kind of consoled myself there was by having them not make the NFC Championship.
Not even make the NFC Championship, losing their first playoff game.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Before you go, do you want to hear mine?
Yes.
Okay. So in the NFC Championship, I have number 1 Tampa Bay defeating number 2 LA Rams. So all of us have the LA Rams making the NFC Championship. So when they go, 7-10 this year, we'll all look foolish.
Yes.
Then in the AFC, I have Kansas City, number 1, defeating number 3 seed Baltimore in the AFC Championship. So yes, folks, I do have an absolute 100% rematch of last year's Super Bowl 55 in this year's Super Bowl 56. However, the Kansas City Chiefs come out on top, defeating Tampa Bay 31-9, believe it or not. So,
okay. Wow.
And
nice.
actually, no, you know what? I'll make it 32-9. 32-9. Okay. 1 point better so that they can add all the different diamonds and shove it in Tampa Bay's face this year.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's where we're at. Yeah, Chiefs over Buccaneers this time. I just, and I'm sure this is a lot of me wanting this to happen too, in terms of I think Kansas City is the best team in the NFL, even with what Tampa Bay has coming back. I think they had an awful off night and ran into a buzzsaw with, the current greatest of all time quarterback who just seems to win when he gets to the playoffs and most of the time in the Super Bowl. But I feel like some of that swagger could turn into cockiness and eventual laziness in Tampa Bay. And I feel like they're going to be very good, win the division, I think, with ease, be a 1 or 2 seed in the NFC come playoff time. But I think they have some attitude. Now, this isn't me railing on Brady either. I'm just thinking about other people that exist down in Tampa Bay on the coaching staff and in the guys that matter on the field. I feel like they could be like, well, we turned it on last year. We'll be able to do the same thing. And I think they're going to get caught against the team somewhere along the line. Now, I don't have it happening until they reach the Super Bowl. But that's just the way I see it going. And I just think maybe they're going to get a little comeuppance, as a lot of people thought maybe some of the guys in the Kansas City locker room, especially the defensive backfield, got last year. I think they're going to want to give it back to him, dish it out this year. Could you imagine having a rematch of that Super Bowl? Whew.
That would be incredible.
That would be
really
fun.
I think Mr. Goodell would sign up for that right now.
Oh yeah, so. Absolutely. What a storyline! Your best young quarterback against the greatest quarterback of all time, 2 years in a row. And I think the nation would be interested in watching it. I don't think it's the same thing as Dallas playing Buffalo in back-to-back Super Bowls.
Right, exactly.
So that's where I'm at. But Justin, thanks a lot for joining us while you're away to talk about the NFL and NFL playoffs. And we're putting a bow on our NFL predictions because from now on, Justin and I will be talking about the local high school football season. We'll be doing our Wilson Bulldogs football podcast every week starting August 8th. We're off next week completely. But starting August 8th, Justin and I will be back on the Bulldog Hour, and we will be broadcasting there on usually Sundays, maybe on a few Saturdays until probably mid-November or so. The hope is to go close to Thanksgiving or past.
Yeah, I was gonna
so
say,
we'll see what happens there.
The longer, the better, right?
Right. That is what we hope for every single year. So
Yes.
Justin and I will be signing off on this show after I finish playing these games. I'm almost done with game 1, and then I'll be moving on to game 2. But we're going to let Justin go and enjoy the rest of his vacation, and you'll hear from him on the Bulldog Hour in 2 weeks and back on this show in 4 months. Crazy to think about, but that time will fly by. But thank you, Justin, for joining us.
See you later, man.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, so Justin is gone. My star running back just dropped that one. So I'm going to continue to play NCAA Football 14. Again, we're in year 2 of our dynasty, Florida Atlantic Owls. This is game number 11 as I try to push our team to double-digit victories and into the top 10 overall. So my uncle is texting me now as he's getting to listen live here that he says, I'm so close. He has the same teams in the Super Bowl, but a different outcome. He thinks it's going to be a repeat year for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not really surprised that he thinks that, and I don't think it's crazy to think that at all. Obviously, I'm thinking about heart and fandom when it comes to not wanting the Buccaneers to win again. Although until Tom Brady was there and they won last year, I was always a big Buccaneers fan. John Lynch and Mike Allstott back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Big fan of Tampa Bay, especially when they were beating the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Always like that. Probably a good thing Justin's not here for me to say that, but I don't want to see them win again. I didn't want to see last year because I wanted the Chiefs to win because, well, I like Pat Mahomes and, Chad Henne is backup quarterback out there and he's still there. And I would love to see Chad go out on top with another ring. And hopefully that happens this year for him. Unless my Miami Dolphins want to stand up and unseat the Chiefs. That's the only way that I could say I'm cheering for anyone but the Chiefs is if the Dolphins can do it. Otherwise, I'm Chiefs all the way. So that is our complete 2021 NFL preview. We've been doing this since mid-May, covering all 8 divisions and every team in the NFL. We'll obviously get a bunch of these wrong, but hopefully we got some of them right, but we won't find out until January and February. And like I said when I was signing off Justin, this is the last broadcast of the Joe Mays and J-Raff show until November sometimes. We've got to wait until the Pennsylvania high school football season is over. Justin and I have other responsibilities, other audio, video content to produce for the Wilson Bulldogs football team. And the big one is the Bulldog Hour podcast, which is usually live every Sunday night during the season where we preview the next week's game, recap a game that happened. And we have a big slate of events coming up in early August. We always do our season preview where we have interviews with the assistant coaching staff, head coach Doug Doms, and then the senior player interviews. And then also this year, just recently developed and announced that we will be welcoming in former Reading Eagle sports journalist Mike Drago on the program on August 15th as part of our interview series because he is in the midst of announcing and launching his very own sports subscription website. Very akin to or similar to The Athletic, if anyone is interested or knows of that sports journalism app, subscription-based. It's one of my favorite apps on my phone. It has great content for college football and all the pro sports and everything in between. There's coverage for everything, and it's just like $3 or $4 a month, and it's great, and that is exactly what Mike Drago is doing for Berks County High School sports, starting primarily with football and basketball. But he's going to be branching out and covering as much as he possibly can on that new site of his. And that is launching on August 1st. So he just left the Reading Eagle on Friday, and he's opening up his new venture on August 1st. And we're hoping to collaborate with him in some way there. But he will be on the Bulldog Hour on Sunday, August 15th live, and we will talk to him all about his years covering the Bulldogs for the Reading Eagle and what he expects to do going it on his own and starting his own journalism site. So if you are a fan of Berks County scholastic sports, I would say I highly recommend you subscribe day one. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be a great thing to have after the way sports journalism has gone over the last couple of years in and around Berks County. So it'll be interesting to see what Mike's able to do, and I'm very excited that he's going to be joining us to talk about his venture. So I don't know how much more I have to say about the NFL preview since we've been working on this, for the better part of 8-9 weeks. Not a ton has happened since we talked about any of the divisions, and I said maybe wins go up or down by 1 or 2. I don't think anything significant. I don't regret picking any of the division winners that I picked. The Cam Akers injury isn't ideal, but I think in this day and age with the type of offenses that are run, they'll be able to find someone that can replace the productivity they expected to get from him. It's disappointing, obviously, but I think they'll be okay. I think they'll figure out a way, and I really think Matthew Stafford's arm is going to be the significant presence for the Rams, and I still expect them to be very, very good this year. And we'll see if they can get things accomplished. I hope so. I think that would be fun. Get him, yeah. So I'm finishing up the first game, North Texas versus Florida Atlantic. There's less than a minute to play in the fourth quarter, and I just forced a turnover, so I get the ball. I'm going to run the clock out and move on to game number 2 of the night, game 12 overall. And if anyone has an email, a text, or a tweet they want to send my way, if you have my phone, you want to call or text, feel free to do so. If you want to tweet at Joe Mays and J-Raff or email at Joe Mays and J-Raff at gmail.com, the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox, you can certainly do that as well. I'm just excited that football is almost here because that's going to be wonderful. We got high school football, college football, pro football. It's all right around the corner. I think we're like 35 to 45 days away for all of those starting. Maybe even less, actually. High school football, I think, is about 4 weeks away. So a lot of things are coming down the pipeline, and it's going to be enjoyable. A lot of stuff coming. If you're fans of Wilson football, Justin and I have you covered in that manner. We haven't talked about on this show because we've been focusing on the NFL for the most part, but Penn State has had quite the run in recruiting. I know my dad requested we talk about them at the end of a show a few weeks ago, but they have continued to make a name for themselves on the recruiting trail ever since the NCAA lifted the ban on all the in-person recruiting events as a result of the COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic. Penn State has really taken it upon themselves to improve in recruiting and get a really strong 2022 recruiting class, and they have succeeded. They've done very well. Depending on which site you use, they either have the number 2 or number 3 recruiting class in the nation, and they improved on that just a few days ago on Thursday with Dennis Sutton from Maryland, the McDonough School, which I think there's currently 3 or 4 other Penn Staters that are alums of that school in Maryland. Just phenomenal job by James Franklin and his recruiting staff. Terry Smith, Jawan Sider, those are the big ones that have been mentioned time and time again of being key cogs in Penn State recruiting. And they had a couple down years. 2020 and 2021 classes weren't large or thought of very highly in terms of, really, really strong or great recruiting teams. There were outside of the top 10, outside of the top 20, in fact. But this class is shaping up for 2022, signing in this coming December and just, 5 months from now. Hey, 5 months till Christmas. But that recruiting class will sign in about 5 months. If they can keep it all together and sign, I think they're set to sign 2 or 3 more by the time like August 2nd rolls around or something like that. this could be James Franklin's best recruiting class to date. And he had a really good, strong one in 2018. That was Michael Parsons' class. They weren't able to accomplish a ton on the field as everyone had hoped, not dating back to 2016 and 2017 when things were really high in Happy Valley. Though 2018 was still good, but that was the freshman year for that recruiting class of 2018. Of course, the pandemic kind of halted the way things were going to work out in 2020, and Penn State started 0-5, their worst start in franchise history, in program history. They rebounded to win 4 in a row and finish 4-5, but obviously it was not what anyone expected or wanted. And they, as a group, are out to prove both the recruiting was an anomaly and the play on the field also just not something that we should expect to linger. So hopefully they can prove that on the field this coming year, as Penn State doesn't exactly get to rest on its laurels, as they have to go to Wisconsin on September 4th for a noon kickoff, which not great on the road. Big Ten opener, first game of the year against a team that likes to play defense and run the ball and punch you in the mouth. So it'll be interesting to see how Penn State handles that. And like Justin said a few weeks ago when we did talk a little Penn State, that first game will set the tone, much like last year. Last year, you thought Penn State was going to be, a pretty good team. If it was a normal year, you're thinking hopefully double-digit wins, not maybe 9-3, 9-4, 10-3, however the bowl games shake out. And then they lose that first game in heartbreaking fashion, blow a few leads, don't look great at times, and then also have the unfortunate reffing disaster as Michael Penix did not score a touchdown on that. I guess the 2-point conversion on that. It's a complete joke that was given to him. But hey, that's the way it works sometimes. And Penn State unraveled from there, unable to get anything going. And it's tough. It's tough to recover from that, but we can't see Penn State do the same thing this year. We have to come out of the gate strong, because they have a couple big games in that early season, the first 5 weeks, that you can't fall behind. You can't lose a few of those games, and you don't want to see the season unravel. And the way to start is to show up big in that noon kickoff on Fox against Wisconsin. I don't like that game one bit, but there's nothing we can do about it. So they got to play that game. They got to come out strong. Hopefully this new offense, another new offense, is going to be the real deal and what Penn State needs. And Sean Clifford is ready to roll at quarterback in year 3. And Penn State is ready to roll as a team overall. All right, so I'm about to start game 2 of the night, game 12 overall in Dynasty Year 2 with Florida Atlantic. And our Owls are up to number 8. Yes, a top 10 team. Florida Atlantic Owls up to number 8 in the nation, playing FIU at FIU. So last year we upset FIU to become bowl eligible. Justin and I were sitting at, I think, 6 and not bowl eligible, but to definitely get to a bowl. I think we're 6. Were we 6 and no? We might have been. I think we were 5-6 going into this game. We had to win this game to make a bowl, and we did. We upset them. I believe they were like 10-1 at the time. We upset FIU and then went to the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve and won that one. And now here we are a year later, 7-0 in Conference USA, 10-1 overall, number 8 in the nation. We upset LSU in Death Valley. So Florida Atlantic Owls in year 2 under Coach Joey Raffauf, doing pretty good. So if you're just joining, Justin was on via phone earlier. He is away, so I'm playing both games tonight. This is episode 340 of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, and we wrapped up our 2021 NFL preview by talking about the playoffs and our predictions for Super Bowl 56. Justin and I talked about our predictions for the division winners that we went over since mid-May, and then our wild card teams, and then we went through the AFC and NFC championship game and what we think will happen in Super Bowl 56. So as I get ready to play this game, I'll throw those back up on the screen for everyone to see. Justin's playoffs were Dallas, Tampa Bay, Los Angeles Rams, Chicago, Washington, Green Bay, Seattle. That's 1-7. And his AFC were Kansas City, Buffalo, Indianapolis, Baltimore, Tennessee, Cleveland, and New England. On the flip side, my picks in the NFC were Tampa Bay, Los Angeles, Dallas, Minnesota, Seattle, Arizona, Green Bay. Again, that's 1-7. And in the AFC, I had Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, Indianapolis, Los Angeles, Miami, yes, my Dolphins, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, 1-7. And our Super Bowl predictions. Justin had Kansas City defeating the LA Rams. I had Kansas City defeating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a rematch of Super Bowl 55 for Super Bowl LVI, Super Bowl 56, which I believe is being played in California this year. So a lot of good predictions, a lot of fun predictions, a lot of fun talk. But enough of the NFL. We're back here. I am playing our final game of the evening and our final regular season game of NCAA Football 14. Number 8, Florida Atlantic against unranked Florida International, and hopefully I can make quick work of them. Just pound the rock like I've been doing. Larry McCammon, the running back, has been named a finalist for the Heisman Trophy, so I'll see if I can keep adding to his statistics. He's over 1,500 yards for the year, so very good showing for a guy last year that Justin and I, honestly, we were happier when we weren't giving him the ball. His backup from a year ago, which was a senior, had left our team in graduation, played better on the field, and we started going to him. But McCammon's the guy this year, and he's showing why he had been sitting up on the depth chart last year. Not a great start here for me. Couple poor runs. Let's see what I can figure out here on third down. I did a little bit better throwing the ball at the beginning of the last game. I don't know if I can duplicate that success here early or not. All right, good. Again, if there's anyone watching or listening and has my cell, they want to give a text or a quick call to talk about the NFL as I play this game here, that's fine. Otherwise, it's probably going to be me just talking through this last game in NCAA Football 14. Need to get this victory. I've been pretty good without Justin. I'm 3-0, including that one win over LSU. So I just need to keep powering through and not give up a lot on defense. Let's see. Can I pull up a different camera? I have to try that.
They need about 4 yards to pick
All
up
right.
the first. And he carries the ball for a nice gain. Picked up
Very
a first
good.
down on that carry.
Yeah, a good job up front by the offensive line. They picked up some nice blocks to allow
All right.
them back to get in there for some extra yardage.
Where to go, what to do. Just milk the clock. Let's get a few scores and milk the clock. Blitzing safety. Let's make it that. Oh, linebacker got off the block. So the Flyers, man, they've been blowing up their team. A lot of differences going to be happening on the ice come October. A lot of new names. I can't even say Ristolo, the defender they got from Buffalo, which was an awful trade. At every metric, I actually saw someone give it a J because they said an F wasn't bad enough. Philadelphia just hemorrhaging draft picks and players to try to get under the salary cap. They gave away Gostisbehere. They gave away Hag and their number 1 pick. Oh, no. Oh, can we cut underneath that?
It's a good play when a corner can break up a
Come
pass,
on.
but it's even better when he can bring it in for an interception.
Poor showing. Getting rid of Voracek for Cam Atkinson and everything that was involved there was not too bad. Cam Atkinson's a good player. I hate to see Voracek go, but his agent contract made it a little bit. He needed to go, unfortunately, as much as I hate to see it. But a lot of changes in store for the Flyers. I'm not sure they're done yet, so we'll see what else they are able to do. I know they need to be active in free agency. They still don't have a lot of cap space, but it's better than it was. they things really got messed up when the Kraken didn't pick one of the Flyers' big salary guys, whether it would have been Gostisbehere, but more predominantly people thought it would be JVR or maybe even Voracek. But nope, that's not the direction the Kraken went. They went with Ternarski, mostly from Lehigh Valley. He's had like 20-some games, I think, with the Flyers and has 1 point or one goal. So, yeah, that I think caught the Flyers organization completely off guard, and now they went through a few of these trades, and the Buffalo one, I don't get at all. The Gostisbehere one, like they literally gave away Gostisbehere and 2 draft picks and got nothing in return, completely as a salary dump. They had to give up a second-round pick just for them to take on that contract. And then they turn around and do the one with Buffalo where you're getting a player that's not even that good. And they had to give up their first-round pick that was already used Friday night. It's just that one was mind-boggling. I did not understand that one whatsoever, and I wasn't alone. The Voracek one just hurts because he was with the Flyers for a decade, and unfortunately, the Flyers could never get over the hump and do anything in the playoffs, which obviously everyone wanted to see happen. Everyone in Philadelphia and fans of the orange and black just been a unfortunately really poor decade for the Flyers. Not a lot to show for it, because we're more than a decade removed now from their last significant playoff appearance when they surprisingly made the Stanley Cup as a 7 seed, when they made it into the playoffs on the last game in a shootout against the Rangers. The winner of that game became the 7th seed or didn't make it, and the Flyers were able to do it and then made that miraculous run to the Stanley Cup playoffs, only to lose in 6 games in overtime to the Blackhawks and the start of that dynasty in Chicago. So, yep. I don't know. I don't expect much from the Flyers, but maybe that's better, because after the way they finished the regular season in 2020 hot, and then they picked up in the bubble in August last year really strong. They ended up grabbing the number 1 seed. Then they had a couple of difficult showings, able to vanquish the Canadiens, who this year made it to the Stanley Cup final. But then they got caught by the New York Islanders and couldn't do anything against them. They looked awful against the Islanders, and then never got back in stride this year. The Flyers did not look good almost at any point this year. Whew, I'm having a tough time against this Florida International team. It's disappointing. Don't know what's going on. Have to see if I can regroup here, make something happen. Let's see. Let's try that.
And they look to convert here on another 3rd down. Offense lines up in a 5-wide set, and the defense anticipating pass here.
Get it. Yes. Woo. There we go. Get on the board. Get on the board. No, let's just kick the extra point. Nothing fancy. Man, if Florida Atlantic was 10-1 like we are in real life and ranked 8th, could you imagine the outcry of this team trying ever so hard to make, I know I can't in the game, but in real life, into making the playoff. I wonder, when all is said and done, how high Florida Atlantic will be entering bowl season here, because this is still, we're playing under BCS rules in this game. There's no college football playoff. Winning it, I think I'll still have to play. Yeah, I'll have to play the conference championship game, which we didn't get to play last year. We weren't good enough in year 1 to play in the conference championship game. Oh, jeez, he's wide open. Oh my gosh, that was a blown coverage. Jeez. So as long as we can keep winning, we should be okay. We could crack the top 5. I don't know. We'll see what happens. They're running no huddle. Okay. Where am I?
They bring him down around the 4-yard line. I think the defense jumped the gun a little bit.
Jumped the gun. They hiked the ball before my guys were back. That's ridiculous. I didn't even know they could do that.
First and goal, and a touchdown ties it, folks.
Well, let's see what happens.
They're crowding that line of scrimmage. He's tackled.
That's right.
5-yard line.
Oh, no, no, no. Oh.
And he's taken down right around the
Stood
2-yard
up.
line. A couple,
Stood up.
maybe 3 yards on that run.
Not much
Oh.
gained on that play because his safety did a wonderful job of getting up there and making a good tackle on the ball carrier.
No way. No way you're getting through.
Some hard-nosed north and south run.
Great play.
Try not to get
Good
to the
job,
outside
defense.
The defense just
Good
had
job.
too much speed for that one.
They're going to kick the field goal?
It's 4th
Yeah,
down.
they are.
This one should be makeable.
So talked NFL, we talked Penn State, we talked Flyers. Not really anything to talk to about the Sixers. Phillies are interesting. Oh, excuse me. Phillies are interesting. I don't know what to think about them. When I think they're coming around, they fall apart. They are not. They're not well staffed. They have essentially 2 starting pitchers that are good, and then a bunch of relievers that are so inconsistent, and you think they finally got it, and nope, they blow a save, blow a big lead. Philadelphia, last I knew, I think they had blown 25 saves this year already. Their record's like 28 or something. I think the major league record's like 33. I don't know if that's 100% accurate or not, but man, if they could just turn a few of those into wins, they'd be leading the NFC or the NFC East. They'd be leading the NL East right now. So it's disappointing and frustrating, but nice catch. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see, but Aaron Nola had a good showing today. That was fun. It's always good to see, and hopefully the Phillies can continue to win and chip away, and hey, maybe make some noise. Who knows? I don't expect it to happen, but I'm not going to say it can't happen. They're going to have to win the division. There's no way they're going to win the wild card. So they need to unseat the Mets or Braves. I don't even know. No, it was the Mets. Last I knew, they were 2.5 back. So I don't know. It'd be nice to have some meaningful baseball. Oh, no. I didn't even see that guy. Oh, I did not see him standing there. That is unfortunate. Wow, he's standing right in front of my guy, too. Well. That's what I get for trying to drive the ball quickly down the field before halftime. I don't know where that's going. It's going nowhere.
Great job by the defense of getting after that quarterback. And right now, I think they got him with some happy feet.
I hope he's got happy feet. I'm coming for him.
2nd down, 10 to go. Ball on the 43-yard line. Zips it to the tight end.
It didn't get out of bounds, though. Use that timeout.
Very well executed. Any coach would be happy with that kind of outcome on
I need to regroup at halftime. Go back to what usually was winning games for us. Keep him in. No.
Around the 42-yard line. First down, 10 yards to go. Ball on the 42-yard line. He scrambled.
Oh, how? Come on. Should have lost more than 3 yards. It's the end of the half brilliance that's here from the computer. They're suddenly going to be able to do everything. Madalitzo Foster. Good job, Madalitzo.
Have an ability to lay the ball right into your guys' hands.
Third down, and they need to get it down to the 32.
Oh. Another fumble that I don't recover. Well, they're probably going to go for this.
Mistakes like this that can completely turn a game around. He's simply got to be more careful with the football.
You just going to let the clock run? All right.
Scrambling.
Didn't even take a shot at the end zone. All right. Cool.
So at the end of the half,
Halftime of game number 2.
7-3.
I need to regroup. Only up 7-3 at halftime. That's not ideal. Not ideal. Take a moment to thank our sponsors at May's Sandwich Shop. Been with us since day one. We're 10 years into this, and here we are. I know a few of our listeners aren't keen on this game playing, and rather us just talking sports, but you know, we're predominantly a pro football thing, and we can only talk so much in the off season, and try to talk some hockey and some basketball, college football, but we wanted to do something a little bit different. So Justin and I have been enjoying playing NCAA Football 14 since March, but that's coming to an end here as we move towards football season. So this will be the last stream for this. And then we'll move on to Bulldog Hour, and then we'll be back on the show, like I said, probably in November. There will be no double dipping. We won't also be playing the video game. We probably won't pick that up again until the spring. So you'll get a few months where we're just strictly talking about the NFL and college football. And maybe we can get Paul Roberts back on, like we had him on 3 or 4 shows for the end of the NFL season and throughout the playoffs and Super Bowl. That was fun. And, you know, just enjoy talking about our favorite sport and hopefully how successful Wilson and Penn State are doing when we return. Ooh, yeah, that was me. Tackled the center. My bad.
Oh, man, they've got to be frustrated. I'm sure they're ready to get off the field, and now they've just handed the offense a
Yeah,
whole
sorry.
new set it down.
My bad.
From their own 38-yard line, it's first down. He fights forward to about the 39, and he gets a yard on the run.
Get him.
And he's going to come up with a sack. And we've seen just why many call this kid one of the best defensive players in the country.
This guy's just at another level. It just looks like he is stronger and faster than
Good.
everybody else on
Good,
the field.
good.
So we're looking at another
Let's get the ball back and milk some clock. Let's get our Heisman-nominated running back some carries. Oh, no.
He gets hit out of bounds at about the
4th and 1. Are they going to go for it? Probably not. It'd be risky. Especially with the way I blew up their goal line the last time. The crowd doesn't like that they're not going for it, though.
Quinn to punt. Yates takes it for 20.
Oh, made a guy. Too
He
many.
makes it out to
Ooh,
maybe the
flag
30-yard
probably on
line.
me.
Flag down, and I'm not
Probably
sure
on me.
what's thrown. Let's find out.
Yeah, perfect.
That's frustrating for a coach when you preach fundamentals every week and then have someone called for clipping. That penalty
Great.
really
Good
can
job.
set them back.
All right, let's run the ball.
From their own
Come on,
15-yard
McCammon. Let's get you a Heisman.
Florida Atlantic is up by 4.
supposed to juke. All right. No. Oh, I'm trying to give the game away, apparently. This is awful. This is really, really bad.
I don't even think the quarterback saw him on that play.
3
He was
interceptions.
right
Oh
there
my
waiting for the
gosh.
ball.
From the 20-yard line. First down.
Uh-oh. Oh, now I'm in trouble.
And he's in there. Touchdown.
Oh. All right, time to regroup again. Didn't work. Didn't work at halftime. 3 interceptions will do that.
He makes the PAT.
Not effective on the ground. I gotta figure out something.
The Gamecocks came into the game ranked 11. And now we're waiting to see how far they'll go. And for Clemson, they remain red hot. The Tigers take it by 5. And for FAU, oh, the writing's on the wall right now. They know they've got to win this game.
Here we go.
They line up to kick this one away.
Changing seats. Change of scenery will maybe fix things. Not operating on a delay anymore either. Oh yeah. Get going. Get going. Get going. All right. Good return. Good return.
The Panthers continue to get it done on the
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a good job of building this lead.
Terrible. Terrible.
Let's see if they can hold on to it for the rest of the way.
The offense will take
All right. Third quarter. Minute 39 to go.
Too much in football is about how you respond to adversity. Moving forward after a turnover is a perfect example of that.
ball on the 32-yard line.
Ugh. Oh, got caught up. Come on, fight. Up to 40 yards for McCammon on the ground. I'd like to get over 100. I think he's been over 100 every game this year. Not too many that he hasn't. Oh, 3rd and inches. 3rd and inches.
So it's third down, and they're just inches away from picking up the first down.
Big play. Big play nearing the end of the third quarter. They're sending someone too. Get through. Yeah. Come on. There we go. Big play Larry right there. My defense is going to have to come up big, though. My offense has put them in terrible positions, so I can't really blame my defense much for the 10 points. They blew that one, but I stopped them. And they made them settle for a field goal.
It's second and goal.
Come on, let's end the third quarter on a high note.
It's power against power right now. on the
Make
field.
confuse them. Confuse them.
Sets out there.
Here we go. Oh yeah, walk in there, Larry. Good answer. Good drive. Way to answer. Changing seats. Change the mojo.
And he hits the PAT. A 6-play, 40
All right, time to play defense.
results in a touchdown.
Boy, this offense right now,
Time to play defense.
really controlling the
On the road late in the season against a rival.
lanes for the running back.
So our score, 14
Here we go.
Athletics to kick. And he got
All right, starting at the 20.
This one's going to be down in the end zone for a touchback. The Panthers have just not been able to get that offense rolling at all.
I think they're confused. I think it starts up front with the offensive line. They're not having the typical game that you'd expect to see from them as far as communication. I think it's
What are they going to do? What are they going to do?
Both teams realize that when the ball is snapped, we're one play away from a very different ball game.
Nope, threw it away.
Throws it away. about set to start action here again in the fourth quarter.
What? Tackle him. Come on. Oh no.
Good tackle. He was the last line of defense.
They got me on that one. Yeah, they're running all over me. 5 yards of carry for that dude. My guys are tired. Oh, he's getting run over. Ah, false start. Don't take that. Take it.
It's bound to happen occasionally.
So the penalty will make it 1st and 15.
From a defensive coordinator standpoint, it can really help out your scheme when you get excellent run support by the corner.
Man, they really like to run no huddle.
Less than 3 minutes in the game.
Ah, shoot.
And they get nice yardage on that run.
Ran weak. Wasn't ready for that.
Biggest third down and long of the football game right here in the fourth quarter.
Let's make a play.
He goes out of bounds right around the 10-yard line.
All right, what are they going to do? Field goal. I don't trust them, but no team has attempted a fake on me yet.
Kicks away, and he's got it.
All right.
Well, apparently this return team just
Okay, they kicked the field goal and they're not kicking it onside.
I love the competitive spirit that we're seeing out on this field today. It looks like one team has the
All right, need a couple first downs. They've got all their timeouts.
It's going to be an exciting finish.
A score here might effectively end this one.
Let's get some yards.
The Panthers will use their first time out of the half.
Not a time to do anything silly.
Second down.
3rd and 1.
The Panthers call a timeout. That's their second of the half.
Let's make a play.
A little more than 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
And he's taken down.
He's got to be getting close to 100, right? Where's he at? Oh, it didn't show me.
Final timeout.
All right, their timeouts are done. I got a fresh set of downs.
There are 2 minutes to go in this football game.
Not a great showing. Ooh, he got stood up after only a yard. 87 yards and a touchdown. All right, let's get to 100. like that. Let's go there. I'll let another 20 seconds run off the clock.
Tackled after decent pickup.
9 yards for 100.
They'll line it up again on third down.
All right. I need to, I mean, if I get a first down, it's over, but I need to get as close as possible. I don't want to give them much time if I end up having to punt here. That looks like we're very close. Yes. All right, one more rush should give him 100 yards too. He had to work for it. FIU, hats off. They made me and my running back work for the. Let's get him this 100 yards now. There we go. Maybe get him another touchdown too. That would be nice, huh? Could be the last one. We'll see. He's pretty far out. Haven't broken too many big rushing plays. Just kind of methodical. Oh, that gap closed quickly. Well, not taking a timeout. Not risking that. Game over. All right. Excellent. All right, so there we go. End of game 12 overall. Able to eke that one out. Wasn't great. Wasn't ideal. Very sloppy. Didn't look good on offense. Defense was okay, but 3 interceptions on offense. That's uncharacteristic of me, but it happens sometimes. But I appreciate everyone for joining for our NFL preview finale, where we went through our playoffs and Super Bowl predictions. Thanks to Justin for joining me for the first half hour or so. And I got to win 2 more games in our NCAA Football 14 Dynasty with the Florida Atlantic Owls in year 2 here. Games 11 and 12. Both W's for the good guys, for the Owls, for me and Justin. So, again, like I mentioned, I don't know if we'll get to do some kind of bonus stream here in the coming weeks or not, because we'll have to play our conference championship game and then our bowl game and see how far we can climb when it comes to that. I don't know. We're moving into a bye next week and then a conference championship game appearance, but we should have 2 games left to play, and we don't have that on the schedule. So it may not be an actual episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff show, but I don't know if Justin and I might be able to get together and stream those games some afternoon or evening. But stay tuned to our social media accounts, and especially on Twitch, where we will stream us playing those last 2 games, hopefully before true football action gets here. As I mentioned a couple times now, Justin and I will be on hiatus from the Joe Mays and J-Raff show to go ahead and do our Bulldog Hour show, which Justin and I started back at the end of July 2015, and we're about to embark on year 7. Well, we're already done 2 episodes for year 7, but the bulk of the schedule gets started on Sunday, August 8th, and we'll run through at least October and into early or mid-November, depending on the success of the Wilson Bulldogs football program, which is usually pretty good, and we hope the same is true this year. But I think that's about it. That wraps it up. I do want to wish a belated happy birthday to Justin, who celebrated recently, and also to Laura, and I know many other people out there that have watched us on the show, or our friends and family of ours have celebrated many things, and we wish nothing but the best for everyone out there. Hope everyone's staying happy and healthy, and yeah, we look forward to streaming for you again in the not too distant future. So for Justin, I'm Joe Mays, and this was episode 340 of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. We'll be back again in a few months. Until then, check us out at jmnjrradio.com. Thanks, everyone.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.